Hi everybody, this is my second video. I had probably a good half dozen excuses why I didn't want to do a video, at least not start the video today. Feeling a bit under the weather, that happens. But I do want to, I got a lot of stuff to talk about, so wanted to just keep this ball rolling. I assume that I'll have a lot more put onto the agenda of things to talk about once we actually get to New Zealand. So just covering the bases of before times. So I told Hannah that I wanted to talk about stuff, and she was like, oh yeah, talk about stuff. So why don't you talk about why New Zealand? Why don't you talk about how did we get all the stuff that we needed together, all the paperwork and everything like that. And I was like, no, I just mean like stuff, because we have a lot of stuff. Not even just speaking about Hannah and I specifically, but I think just people in this country, and maybe even like the developed world, just have a lot of stuff. I'm kind of ambivalent about that. I think that stuff is really cool, and I like to have it. I think that it's one of those things that can kind of help develop an identity, for better or for worse. But there's a lot of it. I have something that I read about like 10 years ago. I'm going to stick a link in the description of this video, but a photographer shot some images of like the median family's stuff. Like they took all of their stuff out of their house, and he took a picture of their house. He took a picture of all their stuff in their yards and them sitting around with it. I think it's pretty fascinating, but it's also pretty jarring when you can see the differences of what a median life in one country compared to the other looks like. And not to get too far into the weeds, but one of the things that I think was a big part of the process of preparing for this move is getting rid of stuff. Because this isn't just a cross-country road trip. We're not just loading up a U-Haul truck. Everything that we're taking needs to be ready for a hard journey ahead, or at least packed well enough to do that. And some things it's just not worth the care. So that being said, my personal stuff, I think I've kind of explained it to some people that I've talked to about it before, that growing up for a number of formative years, I was in a single parent family, so we didn't have a lot of money to go around. We didn't have a lot of stuff per se. So when you have that kind of mindset, you're like acquisitive, I think the word is. Like you take your stuff and it's, yeah, this is mine. And so I kind of have that mindset. And on top of that, I think that one of the things that I deal with having ADHD is just having like a piss poor memory, and stuff is actually like a memory surrogate. So, one of the things that I've been processing through as I've been sorting through all this, you know, papers and trinkets even, from things that I've done in my past, is just like, if I'm putting this in the trash, if I'm giving this away, is that giving up the memory of this thing, of what this was? So, fighting against the nature of growing up, as well as kind of like, having that heavy feeling, even when you're looking at just like, logically it feels like the dumbest shit, but it really is. It's a tough emotional process, and I'm glad that I'm not with a partner that has the same issues that I do. And I'm glad for that encouragement of getting rid of the stuff when it needs to be gotten rid of. My biggest collection of stuff is my record collection. Speaking of stuff being a part of your identity, music's always been one of those emotional shorthand type of things for me. When the words aren't there, music can do it better. But anyway, I part of my upbringing led me to thrift stores, and thrift stores led me to really cheap albums, and so I built up a pretty significant collection, through high school, through college, and before the move, I was up to 1,100 something, and that's a ton. I mean, probably literally a ton of records, and that's not really something that you want to have to worry about shipping. So I started downsizing. I did a lot of listening, a lot of cataloging, and it was one of those, definitely processing the emotions behind some of the records, parting with those. I was able to sell to my friend Matt, which was really good for that emotional side of it. Not just sending it anywhere, but sending it to someone who I know cares about the music as deeply as I do. So that was helpful. Still tough, but ended up parting with about 400 records. So, that's a third. Still have a whole bunch, and at the moment, we're not really sure when those will actually make the trip. But I've done the downsizing, and one of the positive things that I've felt on the other end of that is, one of the big tasks that we have as librarians is weeding the collection. And if you're not familiar, it's basically taking away the less relevant, less used items, so that the more relevant, more recent, more helpful items are kind of highlighted. with that. So I kind of felt like, going through that, getting rid of 400 albums and looking at the remaining 700 or so, I was like, oh yeah, this is, maybe even more indicative of the collection that I want to have. So addition through subtraction. So, maybe if you have a big collection like that, run through it, and maybe weeding is in your future. I don't know. It was ultimately helpful for me, I think. So I think that I hit the bases that I wanted to with talking about things. Like I said, I have that link to that the photo gallery for the different countries' median families, and I think it would be fun to talk about with someone. So if you are so inclined, leave a comment in the comments, and like I said, I got plenty more to talk about, so keep an eye out for more videos soon.